ADD. I am like a neurodivergent, so I thrive in chaos. I don't want a 9 to 5. I don't want to do the same thing. I don't want to sit at the same desk. I get bored. The fact that this does change and I get to pick and pivot, I love it. So I love controlled chaos. Like, I thrive in that. I don't mind that it's kind of winging it. That is my superpower, is like I said, I can wing it and I'll figure it out.
Good morning and thank you. Today on In Progress, we have Rhiannon Turner from the Personal Injury Connection.
Yeah.
She has agreed to join us and has some wonderful stories of her journey as well as encouragement on details that we can all grow from.
Thanks for having me on. I'm excited.
Thank you. So here at In Progress, we're always about trying to figure out how we can help people, how we can get people to grow. And some of just looking you up, your research, I can see you've been a coach, gone through school. Now you ended up in this whole personal injury side of things.
Correct.
That's not a straight line.
No, it's not.
So share your stories. How'd you get from A to double Z over here?
I think I did things flip-flopped. I did the parent stay-at-home role first and then flip-flopped and decided, like, as I grew as a person, like, I wanted a career and wasn't sure, exactly what I was going to do. You kind of take what you can get. And because I was a stay-at-home mom for so long, it's hard to re-enter the workforce. So I ended up getting a job at an orthopedics office, just working the front desk. And that kind of got me into the medical world. And then right, wrong, or indifferent, because I was a blonde, I was asked to come to some marketing type, networking type meetings within the industry that actually was centered around PI. And that was that first event that I went to. It was pretty much life-changing for me from that point on. I've been in that industry since.
Very cool. So in that, you kind of talk about, oh, hey, you went to stay-at-home mom route.
Yep.
But also I've seen some of your background that you have gymnastics and cheer coaching. And is that safe to assume that was pre-mom and then took off for a little bit?
All of it. Actually, yeah. That's what I had done growing up. I was a gymnast and a cheerleader. And then, had kids. My firstborn was a girl. And so we, got her into that world as well. And I worked at that gym for a little bit, teaching gymnastics classes and then taking on a competitive cheer team. And then actually my son did it when he was like 6. I threw him on a team because he's running around the gym being crazy and, he could do it. He could tumble and he could do the stuff. So health, fitness, that whole world has always been a part of my journey, still is now. I don't coach now per se, but I'm active. I run, I'm in the gym. So it's still very important to me.
So in that, what was the switch that you went, hey, I want to push my own career now?
Let's fast forward to after I'd been in the personal injury field for a few years. That is when I met my chiropractic husband, was due to being in that industry. I went from the orthopedics office. I was then offered a job at a medical funding company in Atlanta, and my role was to market to chiropractors. And, I like to joke that I was good at it because I ended up meeting my husband doing that. So we had worked together parallel, with the funding and the chiropractic practice. But then when COVID hit, my bonuses started to tank. Luckily, we're in Georgia, so luckily our governor did allow chiropractic offices to stay open. They were essential. So we kind of doubled down to figure out that whole problem because, obviously no one knew what was going to happen out of that. So he and I decided at that point, with my bonus going down, that I was going to go 100% in with him to start to grow the practice. And what I was doing at the medical funding company at that time, I didn't have a non-compete. So we opened up a business it was Lightyear Funding. Again, Buzz Lightyear, Disney fan. We use that name. I hope they don't come after me for that. Just kidding. And so we started the medical funding side that I ran, and then I helped him grow his practice. So at that point, I realized running my own business that's my jam. I will never go back to a 9 to 5. I will always be an entrepreneur in some capacity.
Very fun. I would agree with that some of us are made for the 9 to 5. Some of us can't fit in there.
I cannot. I will die. Slow death.
So I see you also did the rebranding from Lightyear Funding to iScan.
Yeah.
What was the journey behind that? Just a refocus,
Sure.
a retooling?
Our hand was forced. New laws recently passed here in Georgia called SB 68, passed down from the insurance companies. Due to those changes, funding now is kind of an obsolete word. Like, we're not going to use funding anymore. So we needed to do a DBA to get that off. But the model did change as well. We no longer fund scans. I'm in the MRI world. So that business solely focuses on if you're injured in a car accident, more than likely you're going to need an MRI just to make sure that, from whiplash or soft tissue damages, that is what I would handle in the personal injury case. So now we don't fund them, we service them. It's kind of boring. I'll probably put you to sleep. But due to the changes in the law, we needed to rebrand the business just to get away and move away from that word, because now that's misleading and it's not positive word now, because people don't want to fund. So that was why it was essential.
Gotcha. As an owner there, was it just now we got to do something, it's another Tuesday, or was it a moment of going, this just passed, what are we going to do?
There was some panic, but I've been in it long enough that I know so many good contacts that kind of helped guide. I'm an anxious person anyway, and they're just like, relax, we're going to figure it out. Everybody's going to figure it out together. So honestly, once the law was passed, I was real quick to figure out, get the DBA going, and we just started Googling names. It was kind of fun to go back that route again. It wasn't a big deal. It wasn't stressful. It wasn't hard. It's our company, so we had no red tape to jump through with, somebody over our head. It was what we wanted to do with it. So not difficult. I probably made it more so in my head than what it actually was. So no big deal.
We usually do. We panic more about the things that never happen.
Absolutely. I'm real good at that. Add that to my resume.
Yes. So that is one side or one business, the personal injury connection. Yeah. What is that? That sounds like lawyer law firm on the TV.
It is. It's anyone in the personal injury space. I started that also during COVID. So all of these went along at the same time. It's just at which pace I pushed that particular business. I started the personal injury connection again out of necessity, because nobody was cold calling, like knocking on doors, because they didn't want you in the office because you could have COVID. So marketing kind of changed for a while. So I thought about, how can I make this online and bring all of my connections together? So I started a private Facebook group, and it caught on quickly. It was attorneys, and then attorneys invited the chiropractors, and chiropractors invited the doctors, and it grew into a safe space where, it's protected. Like I vet whoever joins the board. It started just from that, of if an attorney, I don't know if you're familiar with PI, but if an attorney needed a chiropractor in any city, that attorney would drop on my board, hey, looking for a chiropractor in Duluth, Georgia. And if there were any chiros near Duluth, they got to advertise their business in the comment section. So it was advertising. The attorney got their need met. You could see, more for whatever your need might be. Like if there was just another marketer that marketed the chiropractors, I just gave them 10 listings for them to easily sit at, on their couch and network and get in contact with that person. So it just grew from there at the same time. And now it's kind of a big deal.
So as a business owner, having those kind of contacts, I have... Well, I'll be honest. I've spent more money to join different organizations and committee things that have been less than helpful. But I keep seeing that this personal injury connection is a free group.
It is. Yeah. I get sponsors just like any other type of event. The attorneys, the doctors, whoever, as long as you're in the PI space, we have sponsorship tiers. It runs for a year. So if you join as a sponsor, it's not a one and done event. You're in for 365 days, and we do different things for that business. So they pay for the parties, they pay for the events, but their name is like front and center of all the events. And then anyone that comes to the events, that's where the free component is. I have like VIP tickets and upgrades for people, but you can come no matter where you are in the industry for free. And I think that's what everyone likes, is it's still a free. I feel like I'm doing it the right way so that anybody could come. If you want to pay to play, cool, I have an option for you. But if you can't and you're not ready for that, cool, you can still come too. I'll take care of you and help you.
So you say these events, like how big are they? Are they like,
Yeah, they're continuing to grow. Yeah, I do 10 a
wow,
year. We do four that are large scale. We do it quarterly, so Q1 through four. Those we really center on bringing as many people as we can that the venue will hold. We just did our Q4 in November here in Atlanta, and we pushed 700 people at that event.
nice
So
work?
the four quarters, yeah, the four quarters are really large, and then we do six smaller, intimate focused so that you can, not scream over the people dancing or the people, having a drink. So they're more focused where you can sit down and really like get to know that person if you want to do business with
Yeah,
them.
700 people in an event is a little hard to network.
It is. It is. And I have found, and I think this probably goes within any industry, people want to be seen. So it's the photos, it's the step and repeat. We have videographers there, photographers there. So being associated and being in the room and getting that photo is also what they want at those events. You can still definitely network and know ahead of time who you want to meet and go knock out that conversation. But it's more of a who's who and are you in the room type thing.
And that sounds like more the focus of the smaller meetings, or the other
Yeah.
6 events that you have are more,
Yes.
let's actually talk and meet people.
Yep. We do. I try to keep it healthy too. I didn't drink for 5 years, and my industry is very heavy into booze, and the events are what they are. They're at restaurants, and you can drink. No problem. I don't care. But I like to integrate, like we do some Pilates classes where we fit 20 people, and it's volunteer, like first come, first serve. If you want to come to one of my smaller events and this is your thing, then you're going to meet other people in the industry that also like that type of thing. It's a bonding point, right? Like this commonality that now they share, and that also produces business on that smaller level. But we switch it up. They're not all like that.
I just have this challenging image in my head of my attorney trying to do
Of you
Pilates in a suit.
Right, right, yeah.
Hey,
Well, they hopefully they don't come in a suit, but whatever. We'll take care of them. We've had a happy hour, like bring your pet, like a dog happy hour. We called it Yappy Hour, and like people brought their dogs, and so we switch it up. And it's some things bomb, right? Like they don't do great, and some are great, and people want more of it, so we bring it on. So it's fluid. We figure it out as we go.
so I would say it seems like innovation is somewhat of a superpower to you, and going
Yes.
from all of these very different categories of items and coming back to really you're hosting these big network events. It's got to be crazy. Tell me a little bit more about, where do you get your inspiration? Where do you find your ideas?
Well, I'm ADD. I am like a neurodivergent. So I thrive in chaos. I love, and again, that goes in with I don't want a 9 to 5. I don't want to do the same thing. I don't want to sit at the same desk. I get bored. So the fact that this does change and I get to pick and pivot, I love it. So I love controlled chaos. Like I thrive in that. So like I don't mind that it's kind of winging it. Like that's my specialty. That is my superpower. Is like I said when we started this, I can wing it and I'll figure it out.
So you went from a company that was helping chiropractors to scale.
Yeah.
Met your husband, or who's now your husband, and then took that and went, okay, now we're going to scale our own chiropractic business. What was that like, going from outside vendor to actually being the one responsible for the work, so to speak?
Right. Luckily, my husband's name is Dan. He's always been very easygoing, and I think you have to be married to me because the ideas are just, I'm spitting them out left and right. And he's always been pretty good at taking my suggestions, and albeit sometimes a little pushback, but he's let me run with it, and it's been not to toot my own horn, but it's helped considerably with him letting me just like bounce ideas and running with these different ideas. It's grown him from one practice that was was a newer practice with not a ton of patients to now like 3 that are multi-million-dollar. It's a multi-million-dollar business now.
Very cool.
Yeah.
So in that movement, in that going, hey, you're scatterbrain bouncing ideas, did you ever find a mentality that like works for you to grow these businesses, to grow these ideas, and to mature them into something that you could leave a 9 to 5? And how'd that function for you?
That's kind of tough. I think this may not be exactly what you're asking, but I'm a very authentic person. I got a potty mouth. I am what I am, but that has always done so well for all of my businesses because people feel comfortable with me. I'm not pretentious. There's not this wall you got to climb to get to me. I try to treat everyone fairly and the same. So in any of the businesses, I have just found being who I am and trying those different ideas and knowing and being okay okay to fail and knowing that some of them, that sucked. We won't do that again. But like when you get that one and it's a jackpot, like that's so exciting. So the ebb and flow of just, trial and error, having a supportive husband that let me pivot and try put his face on different things. He's kind of shy. And I'm like, we're getting billboards and we're putting your mug on it. Like he didn't want to do that, but it ended up being a really great thing. So I think just being authentic, in all of the things that I do helps considerably because I don't intimidate people. I don't think, at least.
So primarily now, which lane do you find yourself in?
Of the
Yeah,
businesses,
which one do you find yourself mostly spending your time in?
the personal injury connection. It is a high maintenance baby, but luckily all of the businesses intertwine in some capacity. So they all help each other, but the personal injury connection takes the most time.
So in that, what's the future look like for that? You mentioned the Atlanta area, but then you also mentioned a chiropractor in, I guess that was Duluth, Georgia. That's not too far away from you, but...
No, it's not. The goal would be to get into different states. And so that I think I'm just going to go to networking events that are held in different states and just meet people and try to grow it organically the same way that I did it here. I don't know if you are on social media, but I have 2 employees for the Personal Injury Connection, and we bought one of those big calendars. They literally take up half of your wall. And we have that already ready, plotted out for the next year with all the events. And I'm real big on systems. I love Atomic Habits by James. Yeah. So, we're putting systems in place to make sure that things run smoother. And then I'm going to, because this big calendar, like again, chaotic mind, having that big calendar that I can see really does help me to focus on what I want to do. Look at the months, add in now some traveling to different states and different events and feeling really like, okay, I'm in charge of this beast. And instead of it kind of running me, like now I am, running it.
Very cool.
So the goal is, I'm going to get into other states. I'm going probably to Miami Beach next month for a conference. So we're going to start where it's warm.
Yeah. Hey, I'm just right across the way over here on the water in Charleston. So a little hop and a skip, not too bad.
Yeah.
Miami probably has a slightly larger pool of people there, just a wee bit, but
just a teeny bit, yeah. So I'm going to start trying to get in other states and see.
Are you in other parts of Georgia or just basically the Atlanta metro area? Make it to Augusta or Savannah?
I don't really do much aside from, we go to events, yes, other people's events. Like my industry is saturated. You really, and especially this month, you could go to 1 to 2 every single night, if you wanted to. So there's always something going on. I am trying to now run the companies and not necessarily be at all of the events, having my team go more, in order to grow, I need to be able to, sit down, focus and really, strategize, and sending them out now to the events and them being more of the face as well is also a goal for me. But yeah, we're all over the state. Anybody that's in anywhere, honestly, can be in the Personal Injury Connection. If you are in PI, you're in if you want to be.
With your success, you've scaled realistically incredibly fast.
Yes.
With the face of the Personal Injury Connection, you're running iScan, you're part of your chiropractic leadership, you're on podcasts now and media, you're a leader. Do you ever have that feeling of imposter syndrome? Like, I don't know who you're talking about, but that's not me.
Daily. Oh, absolutely. It's a big component to it, that me saying yes to even doing this podcast was me trying to challenge that. Because, my first instinct is, why would you want to talk to me? So just saying yes to this is me combating that. But no, I'm very familiar with that term.
So I jokingly would say, if someone asked me if I had imposter syndrome, be like, before or after lunch?
Right. Oh, yeah, exactly.
But so coming from that imposter syndrome of like, hey, are we actually who we are every day?
Yep.
You mentioned authenticity, like being who you are all the time. And that's what helped you grow your business so far. Mm-hmm. So that works for many people, but sometimes that authenticity isn't really scalable. How do you think you can do that? You can manage, say, 50 events without losing the spark that made it work in Atlanta, say moving it to Miami, or if you come here to Charleston or wherever you end up.
Mm-hmm. I haven't really thought about that. So I think, in life and using my life up until this point as an example is you started this podcast by saying like, I didn't have a straight line to get to where I am right now. And I think the next part of my journey probably is not going to be a straight line either. And so I'm along for the ride. This could turn into something else too. And that's what I love about the life that I get to lead, is that I don't know where it's going, and I may not do this forever. But if I do, then I'm going to figure it out, and I'm going to grow as a person and take those new skills and what I learn on this journey of podcasting and maybe speaking events, and that might turn into something else and snowball into another activity. So I'm going to be who I am, and if the journey changes, cool, I'm going to pivot and figure that out as well. So that's my answer, is I'm going to stay me, and I'm going to let this kind of take me where it's supposed to, because I do feel all things happen kind of for a reason, and I'm open to where it takes me.
So, in maintaining that flexibility and moving things around and going, hey, I'll just, in essence, roll with the punches,
Yep.
it sounds like.
Yep.
And conveying that to your team, to those who work with you and for you and around you, how do you lead with that kind of just bob and weave and roll with it kind of mentality?
You need people that can handle you, I have learned. My two assistants, my assistant, Allie, she's my executive assistant. She is like me, but she doesn't have the ADD. She can take what I say and pull what I mean out of it and help keep me on task. So we like to joke that with me at the helm, it's kind of like herding cats. And my staff, they're really good of keeping me like, hey, come back, you're going way too far over that way, but they enjoy that as well. So I'm the idea. I'm the, hey, let's do this, let's do this, let's do that. And they kind of help me. I mean, they're yes, we're going to do it, but Rhiannon, wait, like we need to do X, Y, and Z. So, we get all the ideas out on, paper, and then they help me to kind of plot and strategize those ideas. They're not the idea people, they're more of the help to execute the idea. So it really, it works. But it took me a minute to realize that it's okay for me to be that way and be like the kind of chaotic scatterbrain, and that there are people that work well with that, and we complement each other in that regard.
So, in that journey, in that discovering, how would you encourage somebody else who's in that production or in that stage and going, how do I figure that out? How do I find these people, or how do I discover this about myself? What would you encourage them to do?
I have a business coach that I am on a call with every single day, and it's just 15 minutes in the morning, and sometimes there are longer calls. And he's real good about saying, hire fast, and if they don't work, get rid of them fast. So what I would say to someone is hire them, see if it works. And if if there's not a connection, there's not synergy, that's okay too. Like then, part ways and find the next one. Like don't overthink it, don't overcomplicate it, don't hang in there. I have in the past hung on too long, with an employee that like my gut told me this isn't going to work. But then my empathetic side was like, well, I don't want to fire somebody. I don't want to hurt that person. I don't want them to think that they're not good enough. But you got to be able to, I'm learning more with business that I don't have to hurt them. Like this wasn't best for them either. And just making both sides see that it's okay. Like this was a part of our journey. We should have met, and it was great for that time being, but it's okay to move on to something else. Like you don't have to be with somebody forever. So, and the person that I did not end up keeping, this was her first time in the same industry, and then she got offered a job and she lives in a different state and she's thriving. And so this was like a step for her, where I think if she'd hung in there with me, she wouldn't have got where she's at. So real chill with the ebb and the flow of it. So my advice to people would be just don't put too much stock into it. The right people are going to come to you if you put the feelers out there, and be open to receive that experience. And if it doesn't work, that's okay. Failing is okay. Like something not working is fine. You'll figure it out.
The concept of failing fast.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
So you've come a long way. You've pivoted, you've changed, you've bounced, you've failed some things, you've made some things. Now, where do you think your future's going? What does the future look like to you, or what are you hoping it will be?
I would love to continue all three, businesses in some capacity. I like to have different revenue streams. So, and I think that also was kind of born out of COVID, because if one can be taken away, like you need to make sure that, you got other things going in. So I hope that I can keep all three going. And I hope that they do evolve and change and go in the direction that they're meant to go. So I don't foresee myself again, like I'm not going to an office job. I'm not going to go back to a 9 to 5. So these will work. I want them to work, and I know me. And so, I just think they're all going to grow. And I think, I'm 40, almost 47. So like, I want to get out of this at some point and pass it on to my kids and be done. But I think I'm going to keep doing the same thing. And I just hope that they're going to continue continue to grow and just get bigger, and I can bring on more staff and employ more people and make them happy too.
Do you ever see yourself in the business coaching space?
I could, yeah, I could see that.
Just as you're someone who's bounced back and forth on so many different things.
Yeah.
And I would say you clearly have a great mentality and mental space because one, you've been successful with it. So you have taken the hits. You have mentioned, hey, that COVID was a big slap in the face to everybody,
Correct.
but you rolled with it and kept going. Do you consider ever maybe sharing that, or how would you break that down to somebody?
Yeah, I mean, I can see myself doing that. I think I do have something valuable there just from the experience. And I think that's kind of where, it's good to look back at life and you can kind of see where the pieces that at the time you didn't know why they happened, well, that was why. And me being just even a gymnastics coach, like I'm good at encouraging people. I'm good at picking somebody up and like helping them not to have imposter syndrome, or because I have messed up, I have failed, and I have seen like that's not the end of the road. That's just you're going to take a new fork and go a different direction. So yeah, I can see myself doing that and helping people in that capacity. I just got to get more comfortable with public speaking. That's my thing.
But hosting a networking event with 700 people, I mean, you can't be too shy in that.
No, but you don't have to talk too much either. Like I just welcome them and they do the work. I've struggled in my life with, I don't really like being the center of attention. That might sound crazy with what I do, but sometimes I wish I would have gotten a PR. I'm real good. Like I built my husband up, but I wasn't the center of that. Like he's the center of that. And so I do feel like now, like I'm trying to get more comfortable with me being the center of something and, not feeling narcissistic or arrogant about that. Like it's okay for me now to shine, where I think I've always kind of stepped back and like helped other people to be the center of attention. And, I'm good with clapping on the sideline for them and being proud that I was a part of that journey, but never fully wanting to step into a leadership role in any capacity. So I think one of my goals for 26 is to, allow myself to grow in that capacity and be the center of it. And that's okay.
Very cool. Well, I do thank you very much for this time that we've had to chat and to get to know you better and to get to know your businesses. And though the closest I get to the actual personal injury space is I personally injure myself sometimes.
Yes.
But I would love to hear if you ever end up in Charleston or come to an event to hear. But yeah, people looking for you in the greater Atlanta area, Miami, or wherever you're growing next, where would they reach out to you?
Probably Instagram is the best, or they can email me as well. But my Instagram personal handle is Return of the Jedi. I'm a Star Wars nerd, so that is my Instagram. But just RHI at the Personal Injury Connection. Just shoot me an email.
Very cool.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we'll go ahead and share that with here in the podcast, and yeah, we'll go from there.
Okay.
Thank you very much for being on my show.
I appreciate it very much.